Reeves, owner of Gorgeous Fabrics and now also Fabulous Buttonholes. Welcome to our new venture. Today what I want to do is show you how to mark your garment and set it up and send it to us so that we can successfully put buttonholes in it for you. So let's go, shall we? So let's talk about the tools that you're going to need in order to mark your garment successfully. Really, there aren't too many. You'll need your garment, of course. Here's a mock-up of the front of a vest. Then you'll also need some chalk. And in almost every case, I prefer to use white chalk because it leaves fewer marks on your garment. You also will need a ruler, like this clear one I have, or a 5/8 inch measuring tape, like so, for marking where your buttons are going to be. And last of all, you'll need a hand sewing needle and basting thread. All right, so now we're going to get to the heart of the whole situation, which is actually marking the placement of your buttonholes. So what I've done is I have determined the placement of the top buttonhole. Depending on your garment, you may want to start at the bust or wherever, but you determine the placement of your buttonholes and then we're going to mark them. All right, so the first thing I've done is, you can see I have actually put a little chalk mark right here, and that will start where I am going. That is giving me the starting point. And what I'll do is I am going to space them apart about 2 1/4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to go right down here, and you'll notice that I'm just doing the little horizontal hashtag just for the spacing of where they're going to be. I'm not going to get too specific right now on the placement, the distance away from the edge of the garment. And there we go. And one more, 2 1/4 right there. All right, so now I know the rough placement of my buttons along the front of my garment. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to, in this case, they're each going to be set 5/8 of an inch, which is the width of a standard measuring tape. So I'm going to do a tailor's tack. Now, you may be saying, wait a minute, Anne, why are you doing both a chalk mark and a tailor's tack? Why can't I just do my chalk marks and send it? I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to show you why right now. Look at what happens in shipment. The chalk marks tend to fade because things get moved around. So the tailor tack is more permanent, and it will tell us exactly where you want us to put your button. So you really kind of put that intersection of these. And I forgot to pull some scissors. Oh well, here we go. So right at the intersection of these two lines is where we're going to start your buttonholes. That will be the location of your keyhole. So I'm going to do that all the rest of the way down here. I'll do one more and then I'll take the rest of them off camera because it's kind of like watching paint dry, watching someone do tailor tacks. But you do this for every one of your buttonhole placement, okay? And you'll notice I can pretty much eyeball a 5/8 of an inch. So there we go. And the other thing is, you're going to send in an order form with your garment, and in that order form you can write as many notes as you want, and also be assured that if we have questions, we're going to call you. So don't worry about, oh, did I give enough instructions? If we're unclear, we'll call you, or you can always please, put down a note that says, give me a call when you get this to go over it, and we'll be happy to do it because we want your buttons to be perfect and you to be happy. Once you have done the placement of your keyholes, you're then going to want to tell us how long you want your buttonhole to be. So let's say, I'm going to use my ruler here because it's easier to see. Let's say you want your buttons to be, or your buttonhole rather, to be 1 inch. So just put a marking here, and we'll take care of making sure that your buttonhole is perpendicular to the edge of the garment. But this will tell us where to start, where to finish. And this will be the total length of your buttonhole. So, and again, you can specify it in writing in your order form so we know exactly what to send you. Now let's talk about an alternate method for marking your buttonhole placement here. Again, it's going to be using thread, but instead of doing tailor's tacks, my friend Gigi reminded me that she likes to run a line of running stitches down parallel to the center front of the garment along where the keyholes are going to be. So to do that, I use a single thread, and this is a very handy tool, our Clover desktop needle threader. And what I do is I mark with chalk where I want the placement of my buttons. Okay, like so. But again, don't do just chalk because it will disappear. Use thread to run a line of stitches right along that chalk mark, like so. And by the way, this is a great tip for whether you're sending your buttons to me or if you're doing them on your own machine. These are great ways to do it. So I'm just going to go this far so we can see. I'll finish the rest of them later. Or not, since this is a mock-up. And then what you'll want to do is make a mark, again, at the placement so we know exactly where you want your button. And then if you want it 1 inch away, this is conveniently enough, a 1 inch wide ruler, you can just mark the end of your buttonhole here. Like so. And you do that for each of your buttonholes, and then you send your garment to us. Okay, so I have now marked my garment and with my starting and ending points for my buttonholes, and now I'm going to take it over to the machine. So once we've received your garment, then the fun for us begins, and hopefully the fun for you too. This is my mock-up that I showed you yesterday, fully tacked, so you see I've got where my buttonholes will start and how long they are. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run it under the machine. So I carefully place it. I've already determined where the machine should be, so I'm going to very carefully place your buttonhole underneath here and watch what happens. Ta-da! And I'll remove all of your basting stitches, don't worry about that. Or you can opt to do it if you prefer. Also, let us know if you'd like your buttons cut after we sew them or if you want to cut them at home. So I hope that gives you some insight into the process. We've shown you how to prepare your garment, send it in to us, and then we'll make the buttonholes for you. Now, another thing to note is that if you are in the Boston area, please call us or send us an email and set up an appointment to come by, and we'll do your buttonholes in person. And at the same time, if you want, you can also shop at Gorgeous Fabrics in person. So I hope this is helpful. Remember, you worked hard on your garment. It deserves fabulous buttonholes.